Facts: why China could defeat the United States and Europe combined in World War III. Fact 1. National unity as a weapon. The war begins in the mind. Wars are not won by weapons alone. They are won by societies willing to endure pain, loss, and sacrifice. China enters any future world war with a factor the West struggles to match: national unity under a single command structure. With a population of over 1.4 billion people, China has built a political system that prioritizes collective discipline over individual preference. In a high-intensity war, decisions are centralized, messaging is unified, and dissent is tightly controlled. This allows the Chinese state to mobilize its population rapidly, sustain morale, and enforce long-term sacrifice. Historically, wars of attrition favor societies that can endure hardship longer than their opponents. China's political culture emphasizes endurance, obedience, and national destiny, values reinforced through education, media, and historical memory. By contrast, Western societies are deeply pluralistic. While this brings innovation and freedom, it also introduces fragmentation during prolonged crises. Elections, protests, media polarization, and public opinion can slow decision-making and weaken resolve when casualties rise. China does not need its citizens to debate the war. It needs them to endure it. In a long conflict, unity itself becomes a weapon. And China has invested decades forging it. Fact 2. The moral narrative of a just war. Legitimacy fuels endurance. Every major war is fought twice, once on the battlefield, and once in the story people believe. China frames any future conflict not as aggression, but as resistance against Western hegemonism. This narrative is powerful. It casts China as a defender of sovereignty, dignity, and historical justice, especially regarding Taiwan. By defining the conflict as defensive and righteous, the Chinese leadership strengthens internal legitimacy. Soldiers fight harder when they believe history is on their side. Civilians tolerate hardship when they see sacrifice as meaningful. This framing also matters internationally. Many countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America carry historical grievances against Western colonialism and interventionism. China positions itself as a counterweight to that legacy. The West, meanwhile, struggles to maintain moral clarity in war. Military actions are debated internally, questioned by allies, and scrutinized by media in real time. Morality does not guarantee victory, but it sustains wars. And China has crafted a narrative designed to last. Fact 3. Western willpower is the real target. You don't need to win the war, just outlast it. China's strategy does not rely on total military destruction. Instead, it focuses on breaking Western willpower. Modern Western societies are highly sensitive to casualties, economic disruption, and prolonged instability. Political leaders face electoral consequences. Public opinion shifts quickly. Social cohesion fractures under stress. China's doctrine assumes that Western populations will question the war long before China does. If fuel prices spike, supply chains collapse, and casualties mount, democratic systems amplify dissent. Protests grow. Elections change governments. Strategic patience erodes. China does not need to defeat the West everywhere. It only needs to make the war politically unbearable. History shows that wars often end not when armies collapse, but when societies decide they have had enough. Fact 4. Training for war, not for show. Relentless preparedness. The People's Liberation Army trains as if war is inevitable. Large-scale exercises around Taiwan, the South China Sea, and the Western Pacific simulate real combat conditions, joint operations, missile strikes, cyber warfare, and blockade scenarios. Chinese military doctrine emphasizes realism, training under electronic warfare conditions, nighttime operations, and constant readiness. State media reinforces this image relentlessly. Soldiers are portrayed not as ceremonial figures, but as professionals preparing for imminent conflict. This creates two effects: deterrence externally, and confidence internally. Prepared forces make fewer mistakes. And confidence shortens wars. Fact 5. Encirclement and blockade power. Control the battlefield before the first shot. China's geography favors defense and denial. Through naval, air, and missile forces, China practices anti-access and area denial strategies designed to prevent U.S. and allied forces from operating freely in the Western Pacific. Simulated blockades around Taiwan demonstrate China's ability to isolate targets, disrupt trade routes, and control critical sea lanes. In modern war, access equals power. If China controls access, it controls escalation. A war fought on China's doorstep is not an equal fight. Fact 6. Missiles that redefine naval power. The end of carrier dominance. For decades, U.S. aircraft carriers symbolized global power. China has built weapons specifically to neutralize them. Anti-ship ballistic missiles and hypersonic weapons are designed to strike moving targets at extreme speeds, overwhelming defenses. Even the threat of such weapons forces U.S. fleets to operate farther away, reducing effectiveness. If carriers cannot approach, air superiority collapses. If air superiority collapses, power projection collapses. China doesn't need to sink every carrier. It only needs to make them hesitate. Fact 7. The world's largest navy. Numbers matter in regional war. China now possesses the largest navy in the world by ship count. More importantly, those ships operate close to home, supported by land-based missiles, air cover, and logistics. In a regional war, proximity outweighs global reach. China can concentrate force faster than any coalition operating thousands of miles away. Quantity, when paired with geography, becomes decisive. Fact 8. Industrial war capacity. The forgotten factor. Wars consume material faster than strategies anticipate. China's manufacturing base is unmatched. Shipyards, missile factories, drone production lines, and electronic supply chains can scale rapidly. Western economies, optimized for efficiency and profit, struggle to convert to wartime production quickly. A war of attrition favors the side that can replace losses faster. China has built for that reality. Fact 9. Cyber, AI, and space warfare. The war you never see. Modern wars begin in silence. China invests heavily in cyber warfare, satellite disruption, electronic warfare, and AI-driven command systems. Blinding satellites, disrupting communications, and corrupting data can paralyze an enemy before the first missile lands. A force that cannot see, communicate, or coordinate is already defeated. Fact 10. Global South neutrality. Isolation wins wars. China does not need allies, it needs neutrality. Through economic ties, infrastructure projects, and diplomacy, China has positioned itself so that much of the global South may refuse to side with the West. In a global war, isolation is fatal. If the West fights alone, the balance shifts dramatically. World wars are not decided by one battle, one weapon, or one nation. They are decided by endurance, production, unity, and belief. And China has prepared for all four.